so today another game. Hey, Austin Shin, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Okay, so
Good.
for people that have not watched any of these games before, a quick introduction. Austin is has been the UK National Scrabble Champion, and also the North American National Scrabble Champion. And
That's right.
you've been on, to the biggest Scrabble tournaments in the world, Causeway, and the Alchemist Cup, which are in Malaysia. You were on Team Rest of the World recently. Last year
Yeah.
was that?
2018. Yeah.
2 years ago. Yeah, 2018, and consistently in the top few players in the world. So I'm. It's
Yeah.
great for me to listen to you talk about your game. So today's game,
Yeah.
North American National Championship 2017. And did this one actually take place prior to the UK National Championship?
Yes. So it was like a few months before the UK Nationals.
Right, so you won the US National Championship even before you won the UK National Championship.
Yeah, I did.
What does that? Yeah, actually, well, you now live in the US, so you've got probably more shots at winning another North American one. Um,
I hope
yeah,
so.
thanks to you coming to North America, I'm now the third highest rated British player. I was the
Wait. So who's?
second. I was the second highest
Wait. Who's the other guy?
in California.
Oh,
Nick.
Nick Ball.
Yeah, Nick.
Oh,
So
okay. I see.
yeah, yeah. So you bumped me down to third. Thanks for that.
Oh, no problem. That's where you belong. No problem.
I don't know if I belong that high.
Neither
Oh,
do I, but it's okay.
yeah. Okay. Thanks anyway. All right. So in this game, this is the final round, round 31 of 31. It's a long tournament than North American. We do it over 4.5 days or something like that. It's a long tournament.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
you and Dave Wiegand, who was your opponent, we'll talk a bit more about Dave in a minute, but you were both 21 wins, 9 losses.
Yeah.
And Dave had doubled your spread. So Dave has a spread of 2,067 points at this point, and you have a very attractive looking 1,111 point spread. So if it's a tie this game, Dave wins. But
Yeah.
if whoever wins is also going to be the champion, and Dave had previously been the North American Scrabble champion twice before, using the North American dictionary. This game is in the international dictionary, the one that we play now, you and I, and thankfully many other North Americans have turned to playing the international version where all the world championships get played in. So,
Yeah.
and I'd looked up actually, Dave, prior to this tournament, a couple of months before, had played the huge Niagara Falls tournament, and he'd gone 19-1, 19 wins, 1 losses in a field including Nigel Richards, who's the best Scrabble player that ever lived and ever will live. So Dave was in strong form coming into this tournament.
He was.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was there at Niagara also, and I was like, wow, it's unreal.
yeah, that was that is a. I mean, that was a strong tournament, very strong tournament.
Yeah.
So, what happened in this one? You were 21-9, but it looked like you had to win the previous 2 rounds just to get into this final game.
So yeah, I think I was. I can't remember what the standings were, but yeah, I had to win the first game of the day to just stay in contention. I think Dave lost one of the games in the
Right.
morning. I'm not sure, and that made us tie in the number of wins. So I had to play. No, I think I was 2 games behind, or 1 game behind, or something like that. And then I had to play him in round 30, the game before this, on the stream also.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I managed to come out on top. Only just a number of errors on my part, and managed to speed rush Dave into a few mistakes at the
Right.
end, and I managed to just come out on top.
So
So
yeah, I mean, just to get to the final game is kind of stressful, but when you get to that final game, are you just kind of, take it as it comes, or any plan or any kind of big picture thoughts, or just focus on whatever 7 tiles you get to start the game?
there's no real thoughts on it. I just play every game as if like it's the first game of the tournament. Every game kind of
Yeah.
counts the same. So there's no point thinking, uh, anything necessarily very good or very bad. You just have to stay on an even keel basically.
Yeah.
And the fact that if you're going into the final game having a shot at winning the title, then you're doing something right. So
Yeah.
there's no point. It's just concentrate on playing the game as you would normally.
Yeah. Well, actually, you have to do many things right, I guess, to not just one thing,
Yeah.
it's many things. All right, so let's have a look at the game. Now, Dave took a long time on this first rack. He's got AIJNNOU. So he takes a long, long time. I don't know if you're thinking of anything at this particular point in time, but he comes up with a few options. He plays this word. What do you think when you see this word come down?
I was thinking, okay. I mean, Dave's word knowledge is pretty incredible. So there was no real need for me to doubt that this was a word or not. I
Yeah,
mean, I realized just afterwards that it wasn't.
right.
So I kind of just let it go.
So against someone like Dave, you literally don't have kind of spider senses going, thinking, I'm gonna. Because when I'm playing, you're playing most opponents. Your first thought is, did they just phony? Did they play a word that's not a word? But you're just
Yeah.
thinking, just get on with my rack.
I mean, I guess I probably was in this case. There's also a lot of words that are like unjoin or enjoin or unjoint or something.
Yeah,
So I was kind of like also not overly sure if I was just thinking of the wrong thing. So I wasn't really like contemplating that it was a phony.
yeah. Well, it was, but anyway, he got away with it. I think he probably knew it was a phony as well, because he likely knows these things, right? Because the only other option I think is Ouija, but that leaves double N, which is not very attractive. So maybe he just thought, maybe I'll get one past you. Just do you think he knew it was phony?
I don't know.
Yes.
I don't. I like to think he wouldn't necessarily like intentionally play a phony because trying
Yeah.
to play a phony
Yeah.
is never the best move anyway. But
Yeah.
I don't
Maybe
know.
it was just an honest mistake. All right. So anyway, it happened, which is an unusual start to the final round. But you have a rack that has a lot of comeback opportunities. You have DLNOOSZ, and you just must be happy that he's slotted an O above where you can put your Z, basically.
Yeah, so maybe I don't know. At the time, I can't remember what my train of thought was, but I guess that the fact that he played that in that position, giving me 50 points for Zune, might have
Yeah,
factored in my decision not to challenge it.
yeah,
I mean, it would have been obviously better to challenge it, but um, I guess just knowing that I'm going to go 22 ahead straight away like that, then and just dumping off the tiles and opening an S hook for the double,
yeah.
it probably could have been worse.
And you're playing Zune over Zoo because you don't want to keep four consonants. Makes sense to just get down to a three consonant leave rather than a four consonant leave. You have an S as well.
Yeah, exactly. That opens up the S for the double, and I also have the D for the Zo hook as well. So it's kind of
Right.
just a generally like very good, very easy play for me.
Yeah, DZO is a word, so that works. Okay, well, Dave's rack was actually an interesting move for Dave. He had a K and H, a P, and a Y. He ended up going for Oki,
Yep.
which seems reasonable. I think it's this Oki or Kaf, and Oki just scores 9 more points. So it seems like that is the play to make, really.
Yeah. So I think he actually played. He puts down Calf to begin with,
Right.
and then takes it off, and then he sees Oki, which to me looks like way better.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Even though
yeah,
you're leaving this big triple letter score under the JO, but I mean a W or a Y, and you've just played a Y, so
yeah,
not
it's
too many
unlikely.
tiles.
Yeah, it's unlikely I'm going to play anything like really big there, but he
Yeah.
has the yeah, it's good.
Okay. So the next rack you have is not good. You have only one vowel. DLNRSSU. So you end up playing Derns.
Yeah.
And it feels like that's a pretty straightforward play, right? I mean, it's just you're going to play something like nerds or runs or derns. Any reason for derns above the others?
I think that the D may be slightly more difficult to bingo with than nerds. The N maybe.
Right.
It's a bit. I mean, there's kind of a floating N on unjoin already, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and you got to get obviously clearly get rid of your second S. You only really want to keep one S. So I think that's a pretty straightforward play.
Yeah,
Dave again took quite a long time on this next rack. It was HPP and then some vowels. He ends up playing heap, but I think he was looking at some other options on the board. Happier maybe was the other thing. You got any strong
yeah.
feelings on heap or happier?
Um, hmm. I guess happy also opens the potential X for
Yeah,
the triple score. He seems pretty good. He scores a lot of points.
yeah.
He was. I remember at the end he was actually contemplating a phony bingo. I think he was. I think he knew that it wasn't good, or he just wasn't 100% sure. So he took a bit more time on this move than I anticipated.
What, like head pipe or something?
Yeah, I think he was thinking that or
Pipe
pipe
head?
pedal.
Yeah.
But yeah, neither of them are good, and he didn't play either of them.
It's good to know that they're not good. All right, so a heap comes down, and then you've got a pretty balanced rack. So these are kind of the small plays that people, we like anybody who plays Scrabble knows that FIE is a word and can play it. But I'm looking at this, and there's FE, there's FIE, there's FAE. Like, why FIE over any of the other kind of balancing plays just to get rid of, are you thinking about where could my bingo potentially go on the board or anything like this?
Yeah. So first of all, I was thinking of if there was any bingo, I couldn't see one. So yeah, I couldn't do anything. I mean, he blocked filaries with the
Right.
R of Derns. So yeah, he blocked that. I couldn't see anything with the H. Ideally, I would like to play off an F and hit the triple somehow. So that would generally mean probably like half or flash, I
Yeah.
believe,
Or
with
elfish.
tiles or elfish. Yeah, it's not that great. So yeah, I was then thinking like if I can play something for, is there any like really big scores? I couldn't see anything. I was keen on getting rid of that E and F somewhere.
Yeah.
So after that, that took my I am playing Joe and maybe playing something across there. So like FIE or FAE, something like that. I kind of wanted to do Phi because I's are generally worse to keep than A's.
Yeah.
And it makes parallel plays underneath Phi a lot easier if I have an A to go
Yeah.
under the F, for example, something like that.
Yeah.
Um, it's just like very small details in terms of things like that. And I would keep AELS. So I have the ERS for heaps as well. If bingo across there as well,
Yeah.
I have something to go across there. So yeah, I was just trying to like just get rid of stuff that I didn't really want and hope to bingo pretty soon after that.
Yeah. I mean, these are tiny plays, but like it reminds me of like in snooker or pool. Like if you get slightly behind on each shot, eventually you're going to miss because you're not setting up your next play just as well. And like in
Yeah,
Scrabble, you
exactly.
have to be like,
It's just very yeah, exactly right. I mean, it's just very minor details, and sometimes, say for example, it's like a 60-40 balance. If you're on the wrong side of them enough times, you will end up losing.
yeah.
So sometimes these kind of moves are actually can be game changers, really.
Yeah, yeah, you've got to get them right every time. Okay, so Dave pretty quickly plays I don't know how to say this word. Efa, not sure.
Yeah,
Um, it's good without the H on the end too, right? So
yeah,
he plays that, which just scores points and gets him moving. He's got 3 E's on his rack. He's got to just try and score and hope for the best on his next pull, I think.
yeah.
Now you have you end up with a blank on your rack,
Yes,
and you play a Veils.
yeah.
And there's a lot of options here. Like, how quickly are you settling on a Veils? Are you looking at that V and thinking, I like putting the V there, it stops counter plays across the top row?
Yeah. So basically, I'm firstly looking for any bingos that potentially start with an S because I can play Joes,
Yeah,
or any bingos that can go alongside heap, making UPS and anything
yeah.
above that. And I couldn't see any, so I
That's
just
because
kind of
there
just
are none.
again, yeah, I just went through the alphabet and try to see. Well, firstly with like the V, the C, the K. I mean, there
Hmm.
was no OK at that time, so the K was kind of safe. So those kind of blocking tiles that can be made with the word, and I came up with the veils, and
Yeah.
that one kind of stifles the top left treble. So
Eh,
I chose a veils.
Not worried about this D1 spot scoring down here. It doesn't seem that dangerous, does it?
Well, not really. I mean,
C's
you
gone.
just play. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the big tiles are well, the J and the Z are already out, so I
Yeah.
mean, they're already board. So, and I already have four vowels. So, the likelihood is that I'm going to play a vowel next to one of those, well, that double L score anyway.
Yeah.
So, not can't really
There's
fret too much about it.
lots of options that you could have picked.
Yeah, I didn't want to take too much time either. I
Yeah.
probably needed it for down the line.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so then Dave has not a great rack. He has double E and double I, but he did draw an S. So he
Yeah.
just kind of plays this pretty just balancing play, unduplicating his I and his E. And I think that's a pretty straightforward play, really.
Yeah, he just kind of did almost the same thing as what I did with Phi, really. He's just
Yeah,
kind of playing, gaining a few points and
yeah.
just hoping for it to go.
Yeah, he wants to draw into a blank like you did.
Yeah.
So you end up with a rack that has two bingos on it, Tendril and Trindle, but you
Yeah.
can't play them anywhere. So I don't remember. I think you took a little bit of time on this turn. You ended up playing Turfed, right?
Yes. Um, yeah, so I didn't really feel like many of my options were particularly great.
Yeah,
Uh, I didn't know if it was kind of more of a question of whether I should open up the board or not, because I'm very close to a bingo, and it's more like, should I open it up something because I'm likely to bingo the next turn? Um, I couldn't really use the A in the Veils for any real scoring points.
yeah,
That didn't really open up the board either. Um, I can't do it. I don't have an S for signs or UPS ups or anything like
yeah.
that, or Joe's. So I was like, I really only have like really one space, and that's with the F, and whether what I should do through there.
Right. So Turf scores. I forget what it scored. It
20.
scored 20 points, um, which is a lot more than. So Quackle likes playing like something really fishy, just like Dal or Dalt. I mean, you said you were thinking about maybe opening the board, or is this just too few points for you to contemplate?
Um, I mean, yeah, I mean, it doesn't score very much. I mean, the chances are that you are going to bingo.
Yeah,
I was also just kind of worried that, I mean, a lot of those tiles also don't bingo
yeah,
with Tinder, for example.
yeah.
If I pay the L, and then I would basically be falling even further behind, and then be needing the bingo.
Just to
And
catch up. Yeah,
yeah, and I'm kind of only 16 behind here. I kind of played turfed because the none of the T's were out yet, so I was
yeah.
happy to get rid of that. Only one R had been played, so I'm
Right.
okay with that too. The D is, I mean, it's still a good tile, but I mean, it scores points, so I was like okay with that. And then that just lended to playing turf,
Yeah.
so I was okay with that. I mean, there's hardly any ends left. There's only one end left, and four items seen. So I'm kind of keeping the tiles that are fewer, that I'm less unlikely to get later on down the line. So I was actually okay with
Yeah.
playing turf in that
Yeah,
sense.
because LIN is not naturally a good leave, is it? But
Yeah,
Yeah, in this case, I mean, these are the kind of hard plays because on the next turn, well, we'll get to the next turn shortly, but you kind of go with the opposite strategy. But we'll move on to through because Dave's next play is very straightforward.
yeah.
He has a bingo and he plays it. So he has dodgiest and he finds it and plays it. Now your next turn, you only have one vowel, but this time you ended up doing this kind of just you know little play. Now when I first saw this, because I don't remember seeing the game live, but I would have
Yeah.
probably just gone with an F play up here, like Fal or Thang. That's kind of like my
Yeah.
initial kind of gut instinct tells me, oh, just play for 20 something points rather than doing, the kind of more fishy play like ref. And you see, I might have done the opposite on the previous turn. I might, instead of playing turfed, I might have played dull or dalt. And it feels like, you good players end up making the right decisions, whereas it's difficult to know when to make the short play or the medium play. So why ref?
Okay, so basically, I mean, just to go back to your point, sometimes, I mean, some people would say that turf is the wrong move, and I know that a lot of people would have said that ref is also the wrong move.
Hmm.
For me, the only difference now is that I am now a bingo behind, so I now have to most likely have to bingo at some point to try and win this game.
He just bingoed,
Uh,
yeah, so you are a bingo behind.
yeah, so now I'm a bingo behind. The board is actually quite tight, unless you have an S, which there's only one S and a blank left. I think it's very easy for him to block the board off here. So if he just goes parallel on top of dodgiest,
Yeah,
he could block the sign hook
yeah.
going
So
down.
play coming out
So
here.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think that he could score a decent amount of points playing there and block the board off.
Blocking
And
this,
then I would
basically.
always be 8 behind. And then this A in avails, which doesn't score any points, um, is the only place that I can really bingo.
Yeah,
And
like it's not going to
way more
happen putting
points.
a bingo there.
Yeah, you're gonna not gonna get very much. So at this point, I was actually intent on playing ref because it gives the T and the I hook that I already have.
Right, so these are
And
words too. Refi and reft,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So I was intent on doing that and also kind of messing up the triple for the I. So and then hopefully I would pick out a vowel and
Right.
a vowel, even two vowels, and then maybe it's a bingo next turn.
I actually didn't notice that when I looked at this earlier. I didn't notice that ref also accomplishes killing him scoring from the I to the triple. That's another
Yeah, I
good
didn't want
point
to.
about it.
Yeah, 'cause yeah, I'm already 60 behind. I don't want him to go. If he goes 80 ahead, then I would need a bingo and then some. So I wanted to
Yeah.
try and stop him from scoring too much and also giving him something extra to think about.
Yeah, so that was a really interesting move because, like I said, working out when to play these kind of they look fishy, but actually, as you've just explained, there's way more behind it than just I'll play off two tiles to hope to draw to a bingo. It's you have to think where's the bingo going to go? Why am I doing this? Okay, so
Yeah, exactly.
Dave has a kind of nothing-ish rack of Bagiltu. He just plays brute, which is kind of that parallel play you were just talking about. That kind
Yeah.
of
So yeah, this is actually kind of blocks any bingo starting with an S and kind of makes it harder to bingo there now with an S somewhere in the middle of the word. You kind of need that now.
yeah,
Kind of reduce your your range in terms of bingoing,
yeah.
and it scores 24 points and gets rid of all of his bad tiles. So yeah, I mean that kind of accomplishes everything that he kind of really
Yeah,
needs.
puts him up 72. So
Yeah,
I guess he sees what you're doing with REF. He knows what you're doing, but he just didn't see any way of blocking that lane and making it worth his while to block it. He's better off scoring
yeah,
20 something and moving on.
yeah. So ref is also very good because anything that he would try and do would probably open up even more stuff. So he kind of
Yeah.
has to leave it alone.
I think this is the only other play potentially he could think about from his rack. Playing reft, because reft does not take an S. So
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can't put an S on. But the problem of Tabbouleh is Tabbouleh does take an S. So you're not solving the problem.
yeah. it's very hard to try and block anything with Raf after that. So
Yeah.
it's either he just leaves it alone, or he has to come up with a surefire way of actually blocking it completely, or like stifling it entirely,
Yeah.
which is hard.
Right. So you draw your tiles, two tiles, and one of them was a V, but you get
Yeah,
lucky.
yeah. I picked up. I actually turned over the V first and was like,
Right.
oh no, here we go again. And then I get the E and it was like, oh wait, I can actually bingo in this place that he's pretty much never going to go.
Yeah.
So I was like, phew.
So you do the Nigel Richards thing of ordering the letters on your rack by the bingo that you're about to play. You know, some of us
uh,
just leave our letters in alphabetical order or random order. You kind of line up ready to pounce.
yeah. I mean, there was in this case there was no real like second best move, so I was kind of ready to play it. And yeah, I actually never alphabetized my tiles ever.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't waste my time with that.
Yeah. Well, some of us need to. So the funny thing about this rack, this seven, it does not make a seven. It only makes an eight, and it literally makes 1 8, and you need the A to be in that exact position.
Yeah, that's why I played the Veils.
Exactly. All right. So Dave pulls the X and a V. Only has one vowel though. And I think this is a tricky choice of what to do, but I pretty think he's boxed into only playing wax. I don't really see any other options for him. I mean, I guess
Yeah,
Vang
it's really the highest scoring play,
just has to
and he
play
can
it.
still play. He can still play Vang after that, I guess.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he
And
just
he's
needs to.
interfering somewhat with plays down
Yeah,
the first
yeah.
column.
He just needs to just disrupt that triple somehow.
Yeah. Um, okay, so you have A, B, D, E, O, S, Y, and you end up playing Yob.
Yeah.
Just you saw the
So I
Oog
now
Hog
have the
Oog.
last S.
Sorry, what
Yeah.
was that?
I have the last S now, so I
Yeah.
was actually kind of happy that I know that he doesn't have it. It gives me a much better chance of winning now that with the Brewitt hook and ref, I've got spaces to try and bingo. So I actually now put the pressure on him to well, the fact that I'm actually now getting closer to a bingo with Yob.
So you're still well, after Yob you end up being only 10 points behind, but
Yeah.
are you still thinking in your head need the S to bingo to win this game?
Not really.
Right, because there's one other play I think that Quackle suggested that looks good, which is Absi, which scores 16 more points.
Yeah. I did. I didn't actually see Absi. I don't
Yeah,
think. I was really intent on keeping that S actually because I knew that it was very important that
yeah.
that it was actually on my hand basically. And
So you're not
if I
really
play,
permuting words with the S short words with the S included.
yeah, I mean, the S is actually worth a lot more on this board because like there's hardly anything you can really do to bingo without one.
Well, I guess the I or the
And
T of reft.
yeah, exactly. Apart from that, but especially with Brewitt, it gives you like a second shot at making a bingo.
Yeah,
And if Dave knows that the S is already gone, then it's one less thing for him to worry about. So I just wanted to keep hold of it. And
yeah,
Job scores a lot of points, so I was happy with it.
yeah, yeah. It does. I mean, that spot was kind of open all game. Just never materialized. Now, I think Dave's next play is very interesting. He's got Agilnrv, and I think
Yeah.
I'm instinctively drawn to playing, tiles off here with this V. I think there's two other things worth kind of considering. I mean, instead of playing Vang, he could play Vagel. The
Yeah.
blank is unseen, so it gets rid of one more tile. And the
Mm-hmm.
other possibility would be Anvil. I don't know if you have strong feelings about which of these plays is better. Of course, there are
So
other V words as well, such as these.
yeah, I think Vagel probably isn't as good because you need that A for valeting.
Right.
You need to keep that A, so at least you have that option to play down there.
To keep it for
Van,
this spot.
yeah, I think you need to keep that A for that because it's worth a lot more now. Um, Especially when there's only there's only uh two
He's
A's unseen and the U unseen. It's like there's not many tiles that go there now. You might
yeah.
not get another shot at playing down there.
Yeah.
And then if it gets to that point where it's like I'm fishing and he doesn't pick out any of those, then he might need to try and spend another turn to block it, which is going to slow him down
Yeah.
and actually very hard to block. Um, if it gets to that. So I think he needs to keep hold of that A. He probably also needs to keep hold of an extra vowel. I mean, the pool looks pretty
Yeah,
like 50-50.
we've only got 8 vowels left. No, sorry, 10 vowels.
Yeah, so it's kind of like okay. Um, so I mean, playing off three consonants here is actually pretty good.
You
And
got no love for
um,
this play though. This scores what? Scores 12 more points than Vang.
I think it's pretty good. I mean, I don't know if he's doesn't want to um, potentially want to remove. I don't know. Say he doesn't want to use that I for the refi hook. I don't know. Maybe
Right.
he
That's
wants
yeah.
doesn't like the GR leave.
Yeah.
GR isn't great here either. Yeah, I mean, he could easily pick out like U, Q, something. I mean, and then he's kind of in
Yeah.
trouble
Big time.
if
Yeah.
it's funky. So maybe just Vang and then gives him an opportunity to bingo next move
Yeah.
with Rafi.
Yeah. All right. That was. I
This
mean, I
plays,
found that an
yeah.
interesting move. Yeah. So you actually have a kind of bingo E rack, but you don't. You now move out of thinking about bingoing into just scoring. You actually do take that spot. So you have A C D E E S T, but you just decide right now's the time to score.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't see any other like really high scoring plays, so keeping ES is about as good as it gets,
Yeah.
and I could really puts me in the lead also. So I was kind of happy that um, I was scoring a lot of points, blocking that potential bingo lane
Yeah.
uh, from him, and I kept ES, and I can bingo in other spots.
Yeah. I guess the only other play was aced. It scores 9 fewer points. You keep the T for REF, but you've already got the S for it, so it's not like you need that T.
Yeah, and that E goes next to the triple letter score, so
Oh,
it could
yeah,
potentially get back up for the points.
yeah,
Yeah, it wasn't worth keeping it.
yeah. They didn't at this time. You did not have. Well, we didn't have EW as a word. Um,
Yeah, exactly.
but now EW is a word. But still, there's two M's unseen, so it would be bad
Yeah,
for a
it'd be
simple
a
M
lot of
play.
points.
Yeah,
Yeah, any sort of like 40 or 50 point play here could actually potentially win.
yeah. Um, well, he comes back with WAI. He has like Whaler and another I basically. Um,
Yeah.
now, I guess it's pretty much that spot is the spot he has to take. I mean, Whaler, Whale, Where. He could try
Yeah.
something
So
like that maybe, but
yeah, he's really got to get rid of like WI something, preferably a vowel, and he could do that with WAI. I mean, there was no real need to play whale. I mean, that opens up a lane,
yeah,
uh, S in a blank that he doesn't have. So keeping EILR is actually a much better leave anyway. So it's better off to just hold off and kind of keep it contained, basically.
yeah.
As right now, there isn't really any real space to score big unless you have an S, really,
Is there
or a
any
bingo.
world in which he can anticipate that with a Q in a blank and a U unseen that I mean this triple letter score down here is kind of looming large. Should it's unlikely you had the Q, you just played acted. You may have drawn it, but I think this is just a situation he has to focus on himself, and he shouldn't be kind of like thinking about every potential bad thing that might happen.
Yeah, I mean, he goes 28 ahead on what is really kind of a block board, really, there's not a great deal to do. I
Yeah,
mean, unless you have something big under ref or a bingo, or even like hooking a kind of relatively low scoring bingo with a B and yob. There's not a great deal you can do. So going 28 points ahead and keeping bingo-y tiles, knowing that he could draw into an S or a blank or an A, T, MO, something like that, he could easily bingo the next move. So it's just
yeah,
actually not, I can't really fault in any way. It's
yeah,
probably something that I would play also.
yeah. I guess he's Lier, and there's tiles that he could draw that would easily draw into a straightforward
Yeah,
bingo.
not many ways to draw into something.
Yeah, but okay. So you're sitting with the blank though. That's and the Q, and
Yeah.
you end up playing Squeal.
So yeah, I picked out the Q and the blank and a U. So I was pretty lucky that I managed to pick out all three of those
Yeah,
at the same time.
yeah,
Um, um, but yeah, I was actually more worried. I took a long time on this move
yeah.
because well, there's no S, for example, to go with squeals. So I was kind of looking at any possible potential bingo outplay on the B of Yob, which I think there were plenty of them that I could
So
see.
if he plays a seven, seven letters to go out with down here, would that overtake you basically? So Squeal
Yeah,
puts you up
he,
by 47.
yeah, he would. Yeah, he would. If he bingos at all, then he wins because
Yeah,
Squeal empties the bag, and I was kind of just worried, like, should I be emptying the bag here and just
yeah.
wait for a better opportunity, or should I just go for it and don't give him another shot to try and
Did
bingo?
you find out what he could Was there a bingo that he could have had?
I mean, like just looking at the tiles now, he could have played like Armoire or
Yeah, that's
something
the one I see. Armoire. Yeah,
earlier, and there are a lot of bingos. I
yeah.
think there are a lot about any of the vowels go there, so any bingo starting with a vowel would fit.
So this
And
move you played of Squeal empties the bag. There's currently five unseen, so you play six tiles. So basically, you'll end up with six on your rack after this. Quackle, when I
yeah,
ran it through Quackle, there was only one other play it considered alongside Squeal, and it was this.
oh,
This is 41 fewer points. So basically, if you play this, you're pretty much neck and neck in scores, but then you're not losing to a bingo.
yeah, that's right. I mean, I actually didn't see that one either. That's the first time I've ever seen
Right.
that option. It's a pretty good move. Leaves two in the bag also, so it kind of like um, I don't know. That kind of maybe forces him to either fish one more time or
Yeah, would he
just go.
forego a bingo if he had a bingo?
I don't know. I mean, it really depends on what he has. It's one of those things where like you could just get your head caught up in knots if you try and
Yeah,
overthink it too much and be like or be too paranoid about what he's got.
yeah.
Um, in certain cases, it might just be easier just to play squeal, and
Let
the
the
only
gods
way
decide.
to lose is to
Yeah. Well, it worked out.
Fortunately, it did. Yeah, this time. I
um,
know on another day it wouldn't have.
so yeah, Dave takes a very long time on his next rack, um, and he's just looking for something. He has double R, double E, LIM. I
Yeah,
think he has one play that scores a few extra points, but he's down to only a few seconds on his clock. So at this
yeah.
point, he
It's been a
realizes
long time.
he can't win, so he plays this because he can't win.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that squeal play and who draws what out of the bag at the end was you can play a tournament of how many games? 31 games. Well, let's just finish the moves. He plays Emir, and then your final rack you have Motor,
Yeah,
and you play Motor, and then I think he goes out with Whaler,
yeah, that's right.
and that's the end of the game. Um, so yeah, you have 31 rounds. You're in the final game, and this game still came down to really, final two racks, final rack, final two racks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it can just come down to like that at any time. I played in the UK Open, I think early that year also, where Nigel Richards was there, and I managed to get into a final round showdown
Oh
with
yeah,
him also there as well, and that also came down to the final pickup of the last tiles, and I was on the wrong side of it. So,
yeah,
and it could all be all like almost in vain, really.
yeah.
It could just come down to one thing, and that's it.
I know, like compared to other games, it kind of that's the attraction of it as well as its frustration with Scrabble is, it's sometimes it's coin tosses, but you want to get
Yeah,
yourself in the position where you have the chance to be on the right side of it, but or
yeah,
you
exactly.
do what Dave did in the previous tournament and just go 19-1 or whatever it was, and then have done with it.
Oh, yeah, you won't have to worry about the last few.
Yeah. All right. This was a good game, Austin. I think I think like the thing I take from this game the most is there's lots of very like small decisions that really make a big difference, and the point of the game is to try and make it easier for yourself every turn.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, like the moves with Phi, for example, and Raf, they
Yeah.
kind of really set up the rest of the game. And if I played something other than Raf, you never know.
Yeah.
The game could have been over there and then.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
this
I
is
just have
not
to
a
give.
game where you have to go looking for, the really, really hard to find bingo. It was a lot more about small strategy.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a matter of giving yourself a shot,
Yeah.
basically, and make sure that all your options are still open when you get to the end of the game, which luckily it was.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was good. That was great. Hope to see you for another game sometime.
Will do. Thank you very much, James.